estate to real estate. It's Money Matters with Dino.
Valerie, I know you've been brought in to be an expert witness or give expert testimony in a lot of different cases. And after talking to you the other day about it, I think I know why, because you made a comment. You said, I've practically been into every single house in the area, which I guess makes you the expert. So tell us about your expert testimony. Like, what are you usually brought in for?
Sure. Most of the times, just to be honest, it's the divorce and the death. You know, it's amazing how that is. There's just so much contention. And what you're dealing with a lot of times is people's emotions. And so you have a house that's worth, $750,000 and somebody else says, well, it's worth $800,000. But if you divide that between the two, you're literally fighting over such a small amount. They bring in attorneys, they bring in this, they bring in that. By the time that they're done, that $25,000 each maybe is dissipated. So I'm oftentimes brought in for the valuations. What would a house market for? What would be the closing costs, and how do we divide that up? And I'm actually honored and humbled to say that most of the times I've done that without the attorneys. In other words, I just come in and I literally ask the husband and wife if they can sit down together and be able to solve that before we ever get to court. I do that all as part of, just like you, Dino, when you say it's about getting to know the people and doing it. So I do it. There's no payday in for me other than it's the right thing to do. But I flat out tell them, if I got to go to court after I've seen all the houses and I'm telling you what I feel it would be worth, after selling some 3,000 homes in your area and seeing 95% of every home that has closed in the last 30 years, it's going to cost you $500 an hour. So, I mean, here we are. Here's the value. This is where we're at. A lot of times it just gets solved right away or in a deposition.
Yeah.
I've also been called in for evaluation if there is an issue with the property after the close of escrow. And what I mean by that is something might not have been disclosed. So Valerie, I'm asked, what is the value if they had known about this ahead of time? If, there was one case where water was actually, coming through the backyard of the property. They didn't know that, it wasn't disclosed properly, and did that have an adverse effect? Yes, and what would normally be the adverse effect? Well, I can clearly say that there are many people that wouldn't buy it almost if you gave it to them. Here's another example. What's the value? I hope I'm not getting off subject here, but what's the value if you back to a busy street, or the loss of a value? An appraiser might just take a small amount off, but I know that the public takes a large amount off. They're saying, hey, I don't necessarily want to put up with this noise factor,
Sure.
Backing to a freeway, for example. So that's just kind of